Okay, let me start by saying that the best hook is the best hook for you. We all have different hands and ways of holding our hooks. That said, there are some hooks that tend to be more popular than others. In this video, I'm going to review 5 common options. For context, my hands are pretty small and I use the knife hold. Your experience with these hooks may be pretty different if you have normal or larger size hands or use the pencil hold. I'm going to be evaluating each of these hooks for speed, comfort, and price. I crocheted these 3 rounds with each hook. Why these rounds? Because this pattern is very common for amigurumi and I'm very familiar with it. I also wanted to keep it short so there wouldn't be a risk of getting distracted or forgetting where I was. I tested the Clover hook both first and last, and it took about the same amount of time, so I think the order in which I tried each hook didn't seem to matter. The winner for speed is a tie between the Tulip and Clover hooks. Both took around 3 minutes, while the other 3 took a little bit longer. This might matter to you if you're trying to make a bunch of amigurumi quickly in preparation to sell at market. The winner for comfort is, again, a tie between Clover and Tulip. Let's go through each hook in detail. The Clover hooks have a coating that help reduce friction between the hook and the yarn. This hook glides through yarn like butter. I find that I can crochet for longer without pain. The ergonomic handle was quite comfortable and I had no problem with yarn splitting during the test. I cannot recommend this crochet hook enough. The Tulip is equally smooth as the Clover. There's a nub at the end of the hook that differentiates it from the Clover. Some people love this while others hate it. I personally love it. The handle to the Tulip fits my hand like a glove and it is now my favorite hook. If you're torn between the two, I recommend getting one of each in your favorite size and seeing how you feel about that nub. The Woobles hook has a special place in my heart because I learned with it before upgrading to a Clover. I found it perfectly suitable for a beginner and I recommend it if you're just starting out and aren't sure whether to spring for a more expensive hook. I find it comfortable to use. However, I found it didn't glide as well as the Clover and Tulip and that I was occasionally splitting yarn. So my experience with this hook during the test was actually pretty interesting. I first got this hook when I was still primarily using the Woobles hook and had never tried the Clover or the Tulip. Back then, I didn't mind the Susan Bates hook at all, and it worked just fine. However, I was surprised to find during the test that it turns out I just can't switch back after the Clover and Tulip. I was suddenly splitting yarn again like a beginner. I think it's because the Susan Bates is an inline hook, while the Tulip and Clover are more tapered, and I've grown really used to using a tapered hook. Some people online really love the inline Susan Bates hook. Anecdotally, I've heard that tapered is better for knife hold and inline is better for the pencil hold, but I don't have strong evidence for this. Either way, this hook isn't the fit for me with my small hands and my knife hold. The loops and thread hook was noticeably the least comfortable. Especially after using the other 4, the increased friction between the hook and the yarn was really noticeable. Unlike the Susan Bates hook, I think the issue with this is actually just the quality of the hook. I don't recommend it for anyone. Loops and threads was the clear cheapest option, while the Tulip is far and away the most expensive one. If you're in the United States, you can get both the Clover and Tulip hooks much cheaper on Amazon, but be careful of fakes. Overall, I recommend Clover as the best bang for your buck. It had excellent quality of comfort and speed, while also having a lower price than the Tulip. While I personally like the Tulip more than the Clover, it's more than twice as expensive as the Clover.